Now, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, he's not ruling out the possibility of U.S. strikes inside Iran. Roll tape.
The president has approached this with a straightforward principle, which is that the United States will step up and respond when our forces are attacked. And the United States also is not looking for a wider war in the Middle East. We are not looking to take the United States to war.
All right, the lady on the right-hand side of the screen is KT McFarland, who has strong opinions on what's going on. KT, welcome back to the show. Do you think the administration is doing the right thing with Iran?
With Iran specifically, we'll wait and see. But right now, they should have two objectives. The one objective should be to destroy the military capability of the people attacking us. That's the people in Yemen, in Iran, not in Iran, but in Iraq and Syria. So take those out. Don't just degrade them by 30%, wipe them out. And the second is to change Iran's behavior, so to deter Iran from increasing attacks. I don't see how any of what they're doing now, which is kind of a tit for tat, I don't see how it does either of those two objectives. It may satisfy their political objectives in the United States, but I don't think it does anything to alter Iran's behavior or to take out the ability of the bad guys to hit us.
Okay, I'm moving on to a different subject, KT. Trump says he would consider more than 60% tariffs on Chinese imports. Now, Trump's using trade as a weapon again here. Is that legit, KT? Because it would hurt them as well as us.
See, the key to Donald Trump's first term was that he understood that trade was a weapon and that the Chinese needed to export to us a lot more than we needed to buy from them. And so that's why he targeted the exports from China. Now, China's economy needs exports even more now than they did 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. So it becomes a legitimate target. I think that President Trump understands, use the economic weapon. You know, the problem with what we're talking about in Iran right now in the Middle East, we're not using the economic weapon. We're just doing military tit for tat. Use the economic weapon. Degrade your enemy's ability to fight war by bankrupting them. And Donald Trump understood that. Now, whether it's 60%, whether it's targeted sanctions, this or that, that's something that can be decided later in which industries you might want to target. But again, what are we not doing with regard to China? Well, China controls the lithium market in the world, refining lithium, 80–90% of refining lithium. Lithium is essential for everything from laptops to cell phones, any modern technology. It turns out the United States has just discovered a motherlode of lithium in the United States. What are we doing about it? We're not going to mine it. We're not going to produce it. Why not make ourselves independent of China and those critical supply chains?
I understand that Treasury officials are on their way to China right now. Are we beginning the economic dance? Sounds like it.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding, Stuart? Those Treasury officials, they're just going to go bow and scrape to the Chinese. They've already shown throughout the Trump administration that they were nervous about the economic penalties, and then when the Biden administration came in, the Biden administration just released all of that. There were no penalties to China. So I think that it's another photo opportunity for U.S. Treasury officials in the Biden administration.
I'm going to change the subject one more time, with your permission. Trump is doubling down on his promise of mass deportations of migrants. Roll tape.
We're going to have to deport a lot of them. It's not sustainable. We cannot allow scenes like I saw in New York 2 days ago, where policemen are being beat up by gangs of illegal immigrants, in that case from Venezuela, Honduras. We can't allow that. We can't let this happen. These are tough people. So the heads of these countries are smart. They're not sending the people that are doing a great job and that they love in the country. They're sending people, for the most part, that they don't want, and they're putting them into caravans.
KT, can you really see America deporting people by the million? Can you see that happening?
We don't have a choice. And you'll be able to do it. Look what Florida's done. Florida says if you're an illegal, you can't get a job in Florida. Go someplace else. And so I think that there is possible to do it, and it is essential to do it. Look, the illegal populations are going to bankrupt the United States, right? It's increased crime. It's increased social spending. It's taking away from other essential spending. In New York City, we're cutting down on cops, right? So that we can give illegal immigrants bank cards and, free debit cards. The key of all of this is the Democrats know exactly what they're doing. They don't want to stop that flow. They want millions of more illegals in the United States. Then they're going to give them benefits, they're going to give them voting rights, and they think they'll all vote Democrat. Elon Musk said it best. He said, they're bringing in millions more illegals. They're going to give them voting rights. They'll have a permanent Democratic majority. Pretty simple, pretty scary.
KT, thank you for joining us. 3 subjects, 3.5 minutes. Pretty good going, I'd say. Thank you very much indeed, KT.